Hi, my name is Grayson Parker, and I'm here to give my final reflection for EDTE 4200, Technology for Educators. So, there are a few unique challenges that are faced by prospective history teachers and really teachers in the humanities in general. And I thought I'd talk about those just a bit before I talked about my own portfolio, because they're very relevant to why my portfolio turned out the way that it did. Now, the first thing to understand is, at least in my case, um, there are some skills, in fact, quite a few skills on the spreadsheet that simply aren't relevant to my discipline. Unless I wanted to, say, pursue web design, which I frankly don't have the time to do, um, or work on my own hobbyist projects, which, again, we get back to that issue of time, um, there's not a whole lot of incentive for me, or frankly a reason, for me to learn how to code, or how to use AutoCAD, or tinkering with any derivative of that. Don't get me wrong, those are fulfilling for other fields, and I'm sure that there are even some historians that can find ways to use those skills to better the field, but at least for my approach to pedagogy, I needed more nuts and bolts help. Um, Help that I'll talk about later in terms of some things that I might suggest for improving the course. Now, I know I started out pretty negative there, or moderately negative, depending on your point of view, but there are a lot of things that I really took away from this course that are helping me immensely. I've never seen Flipgrid before, for instance, and you might be underselling that, you might be used to that, but I've never used it before, and as someone who got shocked into teaching online after only teaching in person at Bakersfield College, um, the ability to recapture at least some of the energy of an in-person discussion was great. I loved that. I'm so happy that I discovered that tool in this class. Um, in fact, I already implemented it. I had a late start class at BC that I was able to shift some of the points for the class around, and I kept a written discussion component, but I added a Flipgrid discussion component as well to kind of balance the grades out a little bit and get hopefully these students to know each other through the class. And that I couldn't be more thrilled about. Likewise, Remind 101, I had only ever seen it used in commercial purposes before, like if like a new product is dropping or something kind of dorky like that. But one thing that I always wanted to do that I had never really experimented with prior to this class was using Remind 101 to act as kind of an annoying little angel. Classic idea of, you've got an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other, and they're always telling you what to do. This lets me be an annoying angel on my students' shoulders. If I'm trying to reach out to them through their Canvas account, oftentimes that doesn't provide notifications on their phone, at least not a push notification. Or if I'm trying to reach out to them through Outlook, you don't check that very often, to be quite frank. So having the ability to talk directly to them, or at least maybe poke them in the side of the head, digitally, I mean, hopefully that will increase my ability to get students to engage and turn in assignments on time. If there's at least a little button I can push that says, hey, there's something that you need to be doing, at least a few students who ordinarily would just forget about it might be incentivized to complete that assignment on time. I'm also really happy that I was able to expand my knowledge of the Google Suite. Beforehand, it was pretty limited to slides, slides and docs, basically. To be honest, I'm still more inept than I'd like, but at least in Google Forms, I used that for the first time this semester, and that was a big help. And I'm now experimenting with using it to create grading rubrics, and that should speed things up immensely. As it is, I'm kind of half digitally handling these grading rubrics and half in person, because I've got this saved copy and I'm just copying notes over into Canvas, but it's a little clunky. But this new grading rubric that I've created on this website, I think it's right here under TPE 5, This is an experimental version, but I think it'll be really handy. So those are some of the pros that I've taken away from this. I don't really want to talk about cons. I think I've been a bit dire, maybe even off-putting throughout this semester, and if so, I really want to apologize for that. I'm something of a Luddite. I don't take well to technology, and if it seems like that was pointed at times, then I do sincerely apologize for that. So, instead of cons, I'd like to jump straight to how I'd improve it. And there are a few points at which I feel the course content does need a little bit of an update, and I've got those written down right now. So the first one is, maybe this is just something that needs to be updated, but the Gar Reynolds presentation video is, I feel, less relevant today. Not in that we're not seeing bad PowerPoints, as you can see here on my, where did I stash that? Right here. As you can see here, even as late as 2018, for instance, I was using very text-heavy slides, and at times even reading directly off of them, or close enough to my script matched this close enough that it really didn't matter. So the heart of the idea is still good, simplify your slides, but he took it so far in the other direction in that presentation, I was actually waiting for him to stop and say, okay, these are the things that you don't need to do in a presentation. He moved too quick with those slides, and he used them in so casual a manner that I have to wonder why even have them at all. That's a question that he talked about jazz, right? And the notes that the notes that you don't play are often just as important as the ones that you do. But I don't know if he took his own advice with that one, because he could have, frankly, I don't think he needed any slides, at least not until he got into the later points when he was using examples. But if you're just using them to give your audience something to look at or to occupy visual space, I think you're better off without them entirely. And that video was recorded in 2008. I think there are probably better choices today for presentation guides. Now, one thing that did bother me was the power searching techniques. I clicked through the, directly from, power searching with Google. Here's the site, clicking through. And it's, as you can see here, it's not cheap, and it's very time consuming. At $268, I can't find the budget for that. And moreover, I can't find time in my schedule to fit 4 to 6 additional hours every week. I've got a full-time job, I'm teaching out at BC, and I'm taking a full load at CSUB. There's no way, even though this is probably one of the courses that I would appreciate the most, not the courses, sorry, one of the Tech Quest items that I appreciate the most, I wish that a different option was available, because as it stands, to both due to time and money, I couldn't explore this. And this, because I hate to end any section on a negative note, but how would I improve it? To end this section on how I would potentially improve the Tech Quest, I would suggest, and this is for the sake of all humanities majors, that you potentially contact Chris Livingston. You might know him already. He runs the Historical Research Center at CSUB in the Walter Stern Library. He's taken great strides in digitizing the archives of CSUB, especially those related to the California Odyssey project, and I'm sure he would have suggestions about how to effectively search for potential history teachers, right? We're always hungry for primary sources. We're always hungry for ways to show our students the past. And finding them is sometimes the biggest problem. Finding reliable sources, knowing where to look, where to find things that are both reliable, that are high quality, that we have permissions to use. And I'm sure he would be able to just it doesn't even need to be a major course component, but just a tech quest idea of, hey, here's a video or a guide that he put together, or explore, say, like the Library of Congress archives. There are options for humanities majors that I did not see represented in the tech quest. Now, there are tons of things that I enjoyed in this class. Again, I loved playing around with Google Suite. I loved is maybe the wrong word because it's all related to work. But I was grateful for quite a few of the tools that I was exposed to in this course. Again, especially Flipgrid, and some of my fellow students as well. Students like, I didn't even know that another adjunct out at BC was enrolled in the course, Omar. We actually need to get to talking. We're probably going to go out for a commiseration drink or something after this semester's wrapped up with. So, the people, so many of the tools that I'm grateful for. And again, I really want to apologize if I came across as generally off-putting. It's unfortunately the way I am. But yeah, that about sums up my final reflections for EDTE 4200. I wish you all the best, and I hope to run into you again later in the program.